First round prediction. Here we go. Now, here's what we're going to do. Eva and I are going to play a bit of a throwback game for each of these videos. We're going to play a couple rounds of NHL Hits 2003, an extremely violent hockey game. How often did you play this as a kid?
I played it a lot around the time it came out, and not long after that, I kind of lost the game.
Lost. Okay, I won't ask any further questions.
Please don't.
So, we're going to talk about each of these series as we play through a quick game of NHL Hits. Now, what I realized as we were setting this one up is since this was indeed 22 years ago, our first series, the one that's getting kicked off today between Winnipeg and St. Louis, the Winnipeg Jets didn't exist at this time.
No, they did not. They relocated to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, relocated, right?
Relocated, yes.
/ got sold. But then they eventually went back, but that wasn't until like the late 2000s?
Something like that.
Something like that.
All that to say, Atlanta doesn't have a hockey team. This doesn't exist. But we're going to go ahead and get started playing a little not Atlanta Thrashers against totally St. Louis Blues from the 2002-2003 roster. Who do we have available? You have Keith Tkachuk.
I'll take that. Oh, Pavel Demitra. And Chris Pronger. Yeah. Oh, Doug Waite's on there. Al McGinnis. Scott Mellenby, I think is his name. I know he was on the Panthers when the Avs beat him. Yeah. So yeah, I have no idea who either of these goalies are.
Neither do I. It doesn't bode all that well for you.
Oh, look at that scowl on Danny Heatley.
Look at young Ilya Kovalchuk.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Is that Thomas Kaberle too?
There are some throwback names in here, and I'm kind of here for it. Kozlov wasn't that great at the time, apparently, but I get the feeling that you are probably going to win this one. But nevertheless, we're gonna field the team here and see what happens.
Nope.
Okay, well, I think we're about to score a bunch of goals on this one.
Yeah, this is probably going to be high scoring.
So let's start with the Winnipeg Jets hosting the St. Louis Blues. We'll start with Winnipeg, President's Trophy winner this year, extremely likely having a Vezina winner in Connor Hellebuyck this year.
There's no shot anyone else that takes the Vezina.
You can also make an argument that Connor Hellebuyck deserves the Hart Trophy as well. First time that a goalie would have won it since, I think, 2015 when Carey Price did it with Montreal Canadiens. So let's start with Winnipeg and everything that they have done right this year, because they have not had the greatest luck in the playoffs as of late. But what do you like from Winnipeg going into this postseason?
I mean, they're just complete. The regular season success is deserved. They have, I don't think the deepest or the strongest forward core, but it's definitely, like, I'd say top at least 5, probably, and probably the same thing with the defense too. They have a good mix of offensive and defensive production, and of course, like you can't, like, what else can you say about Connor Hellebuyck? Like, I don't think he wins the Hart, because I think that's just a forwards award at this point.
I mean, so I said I could make an argument for Connor Hellebuyck winning the Hart.
Oh, you can make an argument.
I absolutely can. And I do think that he should win. I say that as somebody who has Nikita Kucherov on her team and also thinks that Nikita Kucherov should have a fair shake at it. But you talk about the Hart Trophy being the most valuable player to their team. Where are the Winnipeg Jets without a Vezina caliber Connor Hellebuyck this year? Save percentage somewhere in the 920s, GAA in the low 2s. I think he had a shot of making it an actual sub-2 goals against average this year. How do you not give it to him?
Again, I think scoring is more sexy than goaltending.
You're not wrong, but you've never seen me in goalie gear, so.
I have actually.
Oh, that's right. I did show you that picture. Onlyfans.com. No, it's definitely not there.
No, it's the forwards, I promise.
So Connor Hellebuyck has clearly gone extremely right for them this year, and that's not necessarily new. There's always kind of that shakiness that comes along with him for playoff time. And unfortunately, historically, the Winnipeg Jets have not given him the support that he needs. They haven't been a very complete team, hence why they've had some ridiculous exits in years past. But I think what differentiates that team this year their defense has been absolutely outstanding. Josh Morrissey, maybe not a Norris caliber season, but once again, you can't ask for much better on the blue line at that point.
I mean, you talk about weird playoff exits. I mean, let's talk about the Avalanche last year. Like, yeah, we had with Alexander Georgiev in net, we had no legitimate like claim to win that series, and yet we did somehow. Like, the Jets should have gone to the next round, and they would have given the Stars a much better battle than we did. At least I think we would have.
But you know what? That actually kind of brings in a little bit of this idea of, do teams that get hot at the right time, are they better primed for a playoff run than a team that just has had a solid season all around? Because you look at Winnipeg, they haven't really gotten cold. They haven't plateaued at any point this season. I haven't looked, but I can't imagine that their longest losing streak is more than 3 games, if even that. And so the long sustained success that they have, I think everybody's kind of waiting for, when's the inevitable fall off coming. And it is entirely possible that a good team just stays good. Now, here's my question. Do you believe in the President's Trophy curse?
I do. And it's not really for like the reasons of a curse. It's more for the reasons of just you use so a lot of times you just use everything up in the regular season. Sometimes you just don't have anything left. Your guys are going to get hurt later in the season. You went really hard the entire time. So, there's something to be said. Like, who's the last President's Trophy winner to win a cup?
I'd have to really think on that one. It's been a hot minute.
It wouldn't be. Yeah, it's at least mid 2010s probably.
Something of that nature. Well, I'll look it up. Future Sammy, please put that on screen right now and prove how wrong I was. Watch, it's going to be like 3 years ago.
Well, it wouldn't have been 4 years ago because you got swept by the Lightning. Got swept. Then.
Pick your team. Pick your team. EvAnomaly ain't so funny. Anyway, with the talk of teams getting hot at the right time, let's move over to the St. Louis Blues. This is looking eerily similar to the year that they won the cup, because they were dead in the water at the Christmas break. They were last in the league that season, and then made a ridiculous playoff push, went all the way to the Stanley Cup and won against a Bruins team that a lot of people had pegged were just going to run right over. This year's St. Louis team comes out late in the season. Now, they were kind of middling for the first couple of months or so, even into January, February. But then, late in the season, they make another ridiculous playoff push, set a franchise record with 12 straight wins, and they look like an absolute wagon right now. I'll bring up goaltending again and say Jordan Binnington has looked, quite frankly, like one of the best goalies in the league since the Four Nations tournament. What do you make of St. Louis right now?
You're kind of nailed it. They got hot right at the right time. They went on, what, a 10, 12-game win streak, something like that? 12, which is, for any time in the season, is insane. But especially late in the season where injuries might become a factor, they've kind of come together. And that was with injuries to guys like Colton Parayko and stuff like that. So now that they're healthy, I think, if there's ever a play the hot hand moment, I think they're it. And you're right, this is very similar to that cup year. Now, let me pose this question to you.
Mm-hmm.
When the Blues won their cup, they had Craig Berube as their head coach, who is known for a slower. How did that not score?
I was wondering the same thing. Keep going with that thought. I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with it.
Yeah, so, Berube is known for playing a slower, more physical, more in-your-face style of hockey. Now they have, Jim Montgomery, who did the same thing with the Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that plays a factor?
Absolutely. I mean, there's something to be said for the consistency, even if you don't get it from the player, but from the coaching style. Is he going to use necessarily a heavy hand or anything like that? I don't know. It kind of remains to be seen. And it's not the only team that we're seeing with a first-year head coach taking over the helm here and just seeing what the hell can happen. So, I mean, I think St. Louis is in a good position of being coached and being coached well. But so much of it is just going to get down to, are these players actually primed and good enough to do this right now? You mentioned Colton Parayko, played the last couple games of the season, so he's clearly ready to go. Where's the prolific scoring coming from for St. Louis, and how are they going to break through the ridiculous defense that the Winnipeg Jets have. That's my biggest question mark for them.
I think the defense is going to be significantly a significant part for both teams, especially with like Neil Pionk coming back. That's going to be a big offensive boost to the Jets because I think he's on the line with Morrissey, which is just a devastating pair if you really think about it. Yeah, and I think physicality is really going to come into it too.
They are, well, I say they, as in the St. Louis Blues. I think they are really up against it as far as the Jets are the President's Trophy winning team for a very good reason. Outstanding offense, and they've been up without Nikolai Ehlers for a while. Outstanding defense, just re-signed Neil Pionk, as you said. There's so much to love about this Winnipeg Jets team. It's a question of can they fight their demons and can they get over the hump? St. Louis has been there before. It looks like they want to do it again. But let's talk about how you think the series is going to go. And I'll let you take first crack at it here. We got Winnipeg on home ice. I think a lot of people are pegging this as not necessarily a sweep, but a short series. What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, I still think the Jets. It's hard to vote against the Jets. Again, President's Trophy curse, whatever you want to talk about. They were still, on paper, the best team in hockey, and I think it's hard to not think about. I don't know how many series I could ever say is going to be a sweep, but I think this is kind of a weird one where it's like, could it be a sweep? Absolutely. Could it be an upset? Absolutely. In terms of just how likely I think something is to happen. But I am going to go with the Jets. I think I picked the Jets in 6 for this one because Blues are going to put up a hell of a fight. And again, not quite a like Montreal style situation, but they're kind of playing with house money. Like they're not supposed to be here. They weren't here for most of it.
That's very true. And there's a couple of teams that we're probably going to say that about, particularly as we move over into the Eastern Conference. But you're taking Winnipeg in 6. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes.
Okay. I tend to agree with you not only in your result, not only in your prediction, but how you kind of got there. This is a series that honestly wouldn't surprise me no matter how it goes, unless it's a reverse sweep and St. Louis just walks into Winnipeg, takes the first 2, and absolutely demoralizes it. That would be a surprise to me considering how well Winnipeg has played all year. That said, I think Winnipeg is in potential danger of sleeping on this team. If they let one of those home games go, if they let game 1 or 2 go, that dynamic just changed dramatically. So it would not surprise me, but as the further in that this series goes, I actually think it favors St. Louis more than it does Winnipeg. So Winnipeg needs to get on them early. They need to take the first 2 games at home. I think really anything other than a 2-0 start in the series is completely unacceptable for the Jets. But I think I'm going to stick with you on that one. And I'm going to say Jets I want to say 5, but I think I'm going to stay with 6 on that.
Wow. We don't agree on many things.
We don't agree on most things at this point.
Especially in how exactly, like, I thought you were going to say, I did think you were going to say either 5 or 7, depending on your thoughts.
There's something to be said about the potential for, home ice advantage. But, I've talked about this before. Home ice advantage is kind of slipping overall. It doesn't mean nearly as much as it used to. Yeah, you still get the crowd involved in everything, but the statistics have shown that home ice advantage for officiating isn't really a thing anymore. Teams in general are just getting better at playing on the road. So, I don't know. It's entirely possible to me that Winnipeg wins this series on the road. Now, you always want to win a series at home in front of your home crowd, but, a tie game with 4 seconds left as I'm sitting here yapping.
Keith Kachuk.
Hey, I know that guy.
Now, can we agree that, like, if we're looking at upset watch, this has got to be the series?
Upset watch, probably.
We can pick a shootout.
I think we should do a shootout.
We're definitely doing
We're doing a shootout, yeah. I think I'd be comfortable enough to say that if there is if there's going to be an upset, it probably is St. Louis over Winnipeg. There are some other series that I can say I wouldn't be terribly surprised if this team's win. And granted, I have said that exact thing about this series. It wouldn't surprise me if St. Louis wins, but again, just what you've gone up against this season, I don't know. Yeah, let's just land that plane and say yes. I think this is probably the most upset series of the first round if St. Louis pulls it out. I'm guessing you feel the same.
I think so. Yeah, I can't think of any that are just more prone to an upset, especially a one in, especially just a 1-in-7 matchup, or no one, whatever the stating is here.
1-8.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking football for a second. I was like, that's not right. Yeah.
What's the over/under on the number of fights that Jordan Pennington attempts to pick?
Attempts to pick?
Attempts to pick. I'm not saying how many he's actually going to get involved in because I'm pretty sure that he's going to be reined in. But how many fights do you think he's going to try to pick?
I'm going to go with, if we're assuming our prediction of a 6-game series, I'm going to go with 4.
4 fights?
Okay, good game.
But, okay.
Okay, define actually try to fight somebody, or are we talking about just try to get rough and try to instigate?
No, he's going to try to fight somebody. He's going to.
Okay, actually trying to fight, I'm going to say 2.
2 fights. Okay. Put it on your local sports book. Take the over, take the under. I don't really know. Anyway, Eva and I are in agreement. Winnipeg in 6 or 7. 6. Winnipeg in 6 games. Take it to the bank. Next video down in the description. See you in the next one.